Okay, well, welcome back to UFOs Above Us. It's been months since I've done a moon video, so I figured it's time to do that. In my defense, we have had to deal with COVID. I haven't had it personally, but it's been pretty prevalent in our area. And besides that, the atmospheric conditions, because of all the fires over on the West Coast, have been terrible. So we're now starting to see clearer skies. This video was shot on the 26th, last night. And even though it may not be a 10, it's clear enough that you can start seeing some objects. So we're going to get back to doing our moon videos. Now, if you like moon videos, take a minute, hit like, hit subscribe. But more importantly, give me your comments. Let me know what you think of these. If you enjoy these, I plan to keep doing these as long as I'm able, as long as the atmospheric conditions are good. We'll shoot more videos. But I am going to start sharing. I used to try to be real conservative in my comments. I'm just going to go ahead and start sharing what I think. And so this video, we're going to focus on this area right here. And I will tell you right now that this object right here may look like a crater, but I do not believe it is a crater. And I'll show you why here in just a minute. So let's start it back up. We'll also look at the craters up here. We'll look at this area over here as well. And then I'll throw in a little added bonus. But let's zoom in. And let's take a look at this area right here. So what at the surface, I'm going to freeze it here because we do have some wind that was going on last night. What may on the surface look like a crater, just like any other, all these craters here. This crater is different, and I'll show you why. On most of these craters, you can see a little bit of a shadow in the bottom of the crater. But the rim of the crater, these ledges of the crater, cast very tiny shadows. See that? Very tiny shadow. This one doesn't cast much of one at all. Again, a little bit of shadow there, but not much. Look at this crater. And I say crater, quote, unquote. Look at this giant triangular shadow being cast by that crater. I will propose that this is not a crater at all. It may look like a crater to us here on Earth, but in actuality, this, I believe, is a pyramid. And I'll tell you exactly why I believe that's going on. I believe that the people who built that pyramid, either recently or in the ancient past, are advanced creatures, beings, that have technology thousands of years more advanced than us. And I know in our minds there's no way to make a building invisible. But our scientists are already working on ways to bend light for military purposes. It's not perfected yet, but there's no reason for me to believe that in the next 100 years, we will perfect the technology to actually be able to bend light so that objects appear invisible. There's no reason to think that not only can we make things invisible, but we can make them appear to be other objects altogether from a distance. I think that's well within the realms of possibility, and in truth, I think that's exactly what's going on here. How else would you explain this giant pyramid-shaped shadow when all the other craters in this picture do not have them? So there you go. And not only that, but look at these structures kind of in the proximity of that, what I believe is a giant pyramid. You've got triangular-shaped, unusual structures. There's one, there's one, there's one. So I think what we have is a pyramid here. I think that it's being hidden from our view by some advanced technology. Now, who put it there and when did they build it? I don't know. But that's what I think is going on. So that's the main thing I wanted to get with this video. But there's some other things I do want to take a minute to point out. That's an interesting object right there. See that V-shaped object right there? That looks certainly interesting to me. There's a lot of objects of interest. If you just kind of scan this picture, there's tons of things I could spend an hour talking about. We don't want to take the time to do all that, but there's a lot of, look at all the little structures on right in there. And look how this white object right here kind of, I'll freeze it here so we can look at that. This white object right here is kind of rectangular with all kinds of things on top of it here. And then it has what looks like rectangular openings to it. So could that be another case of a cloaked structure which is hidden from our view but is actually something purpose-built on the moon? I don't know. All I know is it looks unusual to me. This right here looks unusual, speaking of unusual objects. And then kind of moving over, we're not going to focus on this little object right here, little. It may be 2 miles across, but relatively little in this picture. I'm going to do a separate video on that one object. I've taken dozens of pictures of it. It's fascinating, but it's not for today, so that's my little teaser. This crater right here has a few interesting objects in it. That looked interesting to me. There's something interesting right here as well. And then this is one that's always puzzled me. I'll freeze it here just for a minute to look at this object right here. That white object looks out of place. Doesn't look like a crater, doesn't look like a mountain or a hill, but this is what really is going to be interesting. In future videos, I'll focus on this one, and I have captured still images of what I believe is a large mast running from this object to this little object. This object actually glows. It actually is emitting light or reflecting light, one or the other. So what that is, I don't know, but it's a fascinating object, just like the other ones I pointed out, and we'll be focusing on that in future videos. But the viewing conditions are improving. COVID seems to be finally settling down, and I'm getting back to my moon videos, and this is going to be the new no punches pulled. I'm going to call what I see and tell you what I think. You're welcome to disagree with me. Please avoid the curse words. But if you have different views on that, feel free to share it. People that have been around my channel for a while know I don't take anything personally. You know, we all have different opinions on stuff. And I'm just going to start sharing everything that I think. There's a lot of structures on the moon. I believe they're actually covering the whole surface of the moon. Structures all over it from multiple beings that have technology to hide what's actually there. That's what I think is going on. You may disagree with that, and that's your prerogative. That's fine. But I will tell you, just to kind of tease, I'm going to go back. This is the one we're focused on today with the giant pyramid. See that nice sharp pyramid shape? How do you explain that if that's not a pyramid-shaped object right there? Even though it looks like a crater, I don't believe it is. I believe it's a pyramid. And this is just to fool the sheep, to fool people so that we don't ask questions that people may not want to answer. But I'll go a step further, kind of keeping with the Egypt theme. If you look at this object right here, and this little object right here, they look similar in shape. And then this one looks similar as well. And I will just say that in future videos, we may be talking about Egypt. And one area of Egypt that's fascinating to me is the pharaohs, because if you recall, pharaohs have really elongated heads, and they a lot of times have these really bizarre beards that thrust down from the head, and sometimes they even have these weird elongated ears with really long earlobes. So we're going to talk about a lot of interesting stuff in the future. But for now, I'm going to wrap it up.